So we're going to do the streamable transport. I have kind of a couple of hours, and I just wanted to do that. And I'm going to restart live streaming. So I'm going to put this one. I'm experimenting here because I have the member where I give a lot of live stream to. And then sometime when I do this live stream, for whatever reason, there's more people that unsubscribe, which might make sense. I'm not sure. And so I'm going to try to have this one public for 48 hours. I'm not sure if it's going to be unlisted or public, because when it's public, then I feel that, actually the subscriber counts kind of go down somehow. So feel free to bookmark it. It will be at least unlisted for the next 48 hours, and then it will go to the live members. So today here, what we're going to do is we're going to do this one here, which is a streamable transport of the MCP client. So we have the MCP client with the agentic, and it works with stdio, which is awesome. And now we're going to do the other one. I have an hour and a half, so we'll do as much as we can, and then we'll kind of resume it. So that is going to be my goal today. So I'm going to go directly on the code and try to get more to the ground faster. So let's go. So the first one that we have is, to explain a little bit the concept very quickly, is we have, and by the way, you can join, I'm going to put the chat over there, you can join with MS Team if you want to have, it's more real time, okay? It's a tiny URL because the MS Team URL is too long. So you should be able to join the meeting, which actually I haven't started. So I'm starting it now. And I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share that. I need to automate all of this. But I have enough automation. Okay. So you can join on MS Team or on YouTube here. Okay, so let's go. So now what we have today is we have this thing, which is our crate.io agentic. Sorry for the, fancy name or whatever, or the trendy name. Let's not get too allergic. Is basically having the MCP and A2A support as part of this URL, of this library. And so this way, when you create an application or whatever with these kind of features, it should work pretty nicely, and you have all the protocol done. So right now, we have already quite a bit. I've generated all of this. I created all of that. So we have all of the package, the module and submodules. And the cool thing here is that the whole spec, which is this one, and the MCP guys put everything in the TypeScript, is mostly implemented. So all of the types should be there. The crate is 0.03. Actually, I think it's a little bit higher, but we're working on 0.04. And then once it's going to start being functional, it will be a 0.1.0, and then we'll follow the assembler from there. So that is going to be the goal here. So that is a TypeScript kind of types. And it doesn't map directly one-to-one to the Rust. So I did quite a bit of work with AI first. AI I want too dogmatic. Then after I want my way, and then I help it with AI to kind of boost it. So again, be emotionless with AI. It's not about the percentage of what is generated. It's about we control the design, and we can get input on the design from AI. But then when it doesn't map, then we take it. So what we have, I'm going to go super fast right now because I don't want to, sometimes I think I explain too much of the concept and then we don't go to the meat. But right now, the goal of the agentic crate, and thank you, Dioxide, I like the agentic name as well, but there's an AI fatigue here, and this one, it's going to be a little bit drowning for some people. But the point here of the agentic is really the MCP first. A2A will come later. It's agent to agent, which is from Google. It's kind of additive to MCP, but the MCP is really the crust of the thing. And in fact, a tool could be a tool that has AI behind. It doesn't really matter. So the cool thing about this spec is pretty well done. Everything is open source, is MIT license and everything. So feel free to use it as you want. And so we have the spec, and then there's some server example over there. And this server, and by the way, I understood here as a purporter yesterday, this is here is deprecated. But it's not a good one because it doesn't allow you to get the page content, which is weird because that's the first thing you want to do, but I'm not sure why they didn't do that. But the one here which is interesting is the everything. So when you implement a client or a server, and right now, Agentic is just a client, but the goal is to make it as a server. Okay, you need to make sure that if people come join on MS Team, let me know in the comment if you cannot join. I think it should work, yeah. And so what we have is this one. And so right now, what we did yesterday is that. If we go there, so the way that I like a lot is to have this mode where even when for my own crate, even when I don't do a video in a way, and I'm going to have a Rust XP agentic video eventually when the things will be robust enough. But even in my own crate, I like examples. First, it shows developers how to use API. And then for me, when I do a library, it allows me to validate the ergonomics of the API. So I'm big on ergonomics. There's a trade-off between crate size, binary size, with the generic and stuff, and ergonomic. And it's a balance. I don't think it can be put in a book. So make your own judgment call there. I have my own, and it can be fine-tuned, but make your API ergonomic. It helps a lot. Yeah. So this is what we have there. And commented out the tracing. And now I have this client, create a new client, create a new transport. So today we're going to try to do as much as we can with the hour and a half that we have to create this client streamable transport config. So right now is stdio. We give the npx. So you need to have Node install. And I think it's a good thing to have Node installed in your thing because what you want is to be able to play with the real stuff. And most of the spec is either Python or Node. I mean, most of the examples is Python or Node. And then this one is Node. So install Node, Node is good to have if you do web development anyway. And then you do npx, that will install. Yes, say, hey, don't ask me to install it. And then we have this @model context protocol, server everything. So this is awesome. They give it to us. And that the nice things about this server everything. And again, the oh wow, the one I have here. Sorry, give me 1 sec. I have the YouTube there, but it's like super delayed. So hopefully I didn't close. Give me 1 sec. Okay, so I think now it's better. My YouTube was way too delayed, so I think I was even more delayed than all of you guys. So bottom line is we have this here. So goes the clients over there, very simple, do the transport. And the things where I'm pretty happy with this API ergonomic, if you look at that, is about the same thing that you will use TypeScript, the Node.js API, to create a client, to connect to it, and to make a request. Now we make a request like that, and then I have all of these types here of MCP. So MCP it's a JSON RPC on the protocol, and it allows you to query to say, hey, give me all the list of tools you have. And the way it works is a send request, take anything that can get into a MCP request, and it's happened, then the list tools params is MCP request. And here I follow the spec. So the types is pretty cool. So it gives me all of the tools, and I can do more things. And here I call the tools. So do the client, same thing, the connect, same thing. And then I say, hey, I want to call echo, and then I do the params. So this one will be a call tool params. And then the cool thing about the typing took me a little bit of things. And again, I use AI to kind of scale myself a little bit, but a little bit, as much as I can. But for this API design, I had to like step back and take control of it. And then once I found a good design, such as whatever type you pass, it returned the right type over there. So that is actually super cool. And then we have the tools, and then we can add the arguments that we have. That is dynamic. It doesn't have to be type. I mean, you can type it, but that will be application more than anything else. And then after, you just send the request and you get the tool. So if we do a cargo watch test, and that is my little shell script function that I have, and I can do a cargo watch E. So cargo watch example, and I'm going to give client C02 call tool. And in this case, he will call it, and then he will send us the response, two response, the echo, and this one. So I'm actually pretty happy because it works very well. So that is what these tools are doing. And that is what their server is doing. So far, so good. It's pretty cool. So now what we want is you click on the server over there. And when we go there, we're going to see they have their protocol. So what they're saying is, hey, if you use cloud config, you can give the MCP servers over there. And then here you give your server everything, your name, and then you give the commands. And so that will allow you to call the commands. This will be command line, meaning that it is going to be on stdio, input and output, and then every new line will be a JSON RPC line, and then the server can respond on that. So that is what is happening over there. Okay? We're using that, and in fact, we're making two calls with the same client. We connect, so it's a kind of a stateless protocol, and then we make a first call over there, and then we make a second call over there. Okay? So that is the way it works. Now, what we want is to say, well, this is cute, but we are just using the stdio transport. Now, if we go back here, we're going to see that this is stdio, which is good, but the server is also SSE. So we can call it with SSE. And by the way, one of the things that I think MCP Rust is great at, and I know that there is an AI fatigue, and often people, they don't like AI, and they see this channel as a good coding, a good serious coding channel, and then they see AI, and then they say, why are you talking about things? Hey, Corentin, yes, I'm the GOAT. I'm the GOAT now, but not the French GOAT, okay? I'm not Pierre Richard. I'm like the American GOAT. So anyway, the thing I'm saying is that you have two ways. Yeah, you have the std in and output, or you have the streamable HTTP transport, which is now your MCP server, rather to be a command line, is going to be a server. And then it should be able to manage multiple servers. So what we have done here in that example over there, this is what we have done, which is a std in IO. Now remember, the protocol, the whole protocol is what we call, give a sec, what we call the JSON RPC. Yes, so if I go here, this is a protocol. We're not using REST, we're using JSON RPC. And so in the JSON RPC here, as you can see, we have its only post, and then it get the success here. Sorry about the Sketch app guys are fixing that, but we are getting the request over there, and then we're giving the response. What that JSON RPC allows everybody to do is to be independent of the transport. So now because it's JSON RPC, I can talk over std in, std out, or I can talk over HTTP, or I can talk over MQTT, or anything protocol I want. So that is what is happening behind the wire. And then the MCP is doing more normalization of the names over there and all these kind of things. And that is what we have over there. And this is taken care by the APIs that I created, this agentic. So hopefully it goes fine. Yes, so I'm aware. I'm aware like Jean-Claude Van Damme. It's all about being aware. And so the thing is, this is pretty cool. And now we want to have the HTTP. So if I go to the spec now, I'm going to look at this. So at the beginning, they have this HTTP SSE. So SSE is server send event, I think. They spell it out somewhere. But basically, it's every line is a JSON event. And that allows you to have bidirectional. So rather to have like WebSocket or, no, IOS, the other one. The socket one is on a long HTTP request, long live in a way, and then you send that. In fact, this is a lot of the APIs that you talk when you talk to ChatGPT and everything, the APIs, and you want to have the stream, where the things kind of autocomplete, it goes over HTTP SSE. So there's a pseudo standard for that. It's not a hard standard pseudo. What they deprecated a little bit that, and so we're going to follow that. And it's good because I was going to implement it. So now I'm going just to implement this guy. And they want, and it's very similar. They want to the streamable, what they call the streamable HTTP protocol. And we're going to actually command click on that guy. Oh, sorry. And this is not that. I don't know. Oh, streamable. Yeah. So this replaces that. And we are going to see that is what it does. Server can optionally make a server. So what they did is you have this server sent event, which is a little bit more complex sometimes for people to go because you have to listen and then the stream and then you have to take line by line. So what they did is to say, hey, we're also going to support normal HTTP post. Yeah. The GET, I'm not really sure yet where they're using the GET, but anyway. So the thing is that if we go down now, we are going to see, so sending JSON RPC. So again, everything is based on JSON RPC. Everything is JSON RPC. And okay. So I think the server initiate SSE stream. So here we are going to have that. So now what we want is we want to follow a little bit the pattern that we have in this thing. So if you look at the pattern, all of the type of the MCPs over there. So this is what I have there. And now what I want is a client. So we have our client guy. We only want one client. We don't want to start having different client things. But the client, the way it works is that if we go there, let me do this. The way it works is we have our inner client, which is a thing inner, that is an option here. I might optimize that down the road. And that is going to be something stuff. Yeah, the salsa kids, you have a good point. GET for resource, I believe. You might be right. We'll see how it works. I like even for GET to have RPC, but we'll see what they've done. And obviously we'll follow the spec. Yeah, I mean, we're not here to do the thing. Overall, I'm so happy that they want JSON RPC for everything. So now I have the client, and so that is where it happened, and then there's a connect. So in MCP, you have this concept of connection. So your server will need to maintain state in a way per connection. That's the way it works. And you can implement it in I think there's a way to implement it in the stateless if you do a server. We'll look at that later. But right now, we want to have this other client, this other guy, other transport. So we have the transport. we have stdio config and stdio transport over there. And so the thing I'm thinking in my head is I'm going to create probably a subdirectory. So I'm flattening them out, but I'm going to reorganize a little bit the code here to have these two files within the on directory, just for me. And so, yeah, it's just cleaner. Usually I do that. So I'm going to do something like that, where I'm going to do mst and then I'm going to say, that's it. Yeah. I don't really like the namespace, might be confusing with the namespace of things. Then I take these two guys, I'm going to go stdio there, modules, and then I'm going to put it there. Okay, and I'm going to move these two files. I'm not going to rename the file yet. There's an argument to say, well, you are redundant with a name and stuff, but I'm going to keep it like that. Press save. Everybody save. Let's get confused somehow. So somehow I'm going to, oh yeah. And then stuff. So the goal here is to flatten them out. So what I'm using here is a module concept of Rust, but for code organization. But for namespace, I want to flatten them out. I don't need people behind to know where things are organized. And this is what I love about the Rust organization kind of thing. So we're going to do a stdio. And so here's why I flatten out. Flatten out this guy. Continue to complain here. That's fair enough. Okay. This is things. Super. That's good. Okay, so that is where the things, the comms TRX, yeah, I can see the Discord people here. It's X here, which is super advanced. I think it's Flume, yes. I'm not 100%. Let me fix that and then I will come back to your question. It's a good question. And so, yeah, let me fix this guy. So first, this one is because it's create, we change the stuff, client. Well, sometimes you do like that. This one I'm going to do. Oh, yeah, okay, create MCP Client. And that should take care of this one, kind of. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. So the way that usually I do, and with error is a tricky one, yeah. But I always have typically an error at the root. Okay, and that is my error videos that I have, the best practices. And then sometime, but this exception is not the rule. I have exception in some of the child modules when I want to handle things there. And so that is what's happening where I need to give this kind of guy. And then I'm going to, because I'm lazy, and I'm going to do that. Okay, so it's a little bit long, but that's fine. And I can shorten them in a way. Can I do that? I don't even know if I can do this. If I do this, and I say use support. No, doesn't like it. That's fine. That makes sense. It would have been too fancy. Maybe a way of doing it, but so I don't like to put things too much nested. Some people, it's just personal preference here. And then we're going to fix this guy. Command dot, boom, and then that's it. So this guy is fixed. Now we're going to go fix this guy. I'm lazy, so let's do this. Oh, no. So that is a visibility problem. Okay, so I transport. Why do I? I think, oh yeah. Pub use. So again, I flatten them out. I don't need it's. I do that for thing. And when you do AI coding, this organization practice actually have a very good benefit because you can focus the AI only on the good files. Yeah. So usually when you organize things pretty nicely for human, you actually gain some benefits for machines. Okay, so that should be better. And now should have that. And this one is always pain here. Private. Okay, so I'm going to be a little bit pubcrate. Okay, this is a lazy. Pubcrate is a lazy part. Sometime I will pub in and I give the path. Yeah, to make. But pubcrate is good. We definitely do not want to export that. That is the important part. Pubcrate will take care of that. Now the question here that you have is, are we using Flume? And I think I am. Typically I like Flume. So one of the reasons why I like Flume, so we're using Flume. One of the reasons why I like Flume is it's a MP is a channel library. And if we go over there, is Flume. And that is, so you create your things unbounded and everything is super efficient. You can do back stuff if you want, but right now this is great. And the amazing things about Flume that I love is that you can use it in async and sync and the same one. And because sometimes when you use event, so I'm a big fan of the event base, but sometimes for whatever reason, you might have something sync within a function which is not async, or a function which is async. And if you have an async channel kind of thing, and then you are trying to call it in sync, you are for a ride. Yeah, because you start doing your stuff. I mean, yeah, it's getting tricky and ugly. And I don't know what they did behind the scene. And I think they know, I know they know more about their things than me. So I'm going to trust them. And the beautiful thing is you can call it async and sync. So it's beautiful. And that, again, in Rust, we have very good developers. And often when you have a crate like that, that is at this level, typically they are not there by mistakes or by confusion. Yeah, they are there because they know what they are doing. So that is awesome. That is the Flume business. So now we have this. And so what I will do, I don't really have a cargo test. I will add the test later. The question is, what do I test? And when I do the test things, it's never like for me, and I don't know, it's not about like when people are saying, hey, the percentage of coverage of your code base, run. Yeah. Run or don't talk and just say yes, because this is the most silliest thing to ever say. It's not about the percentage of the code base that your unit test. This is a counterproductive number, because it makes you feel good, but in fact you are not good. And the better number is a percentage of things that may break. Yeah. So if you have a very simple algorithm or whatever, or you are using a crate and things, you don't have to mock and to test everything. But if you have things that may break, you can. Here, there's a lot of things that I would like to validate to make sure that my types doesn't break and stuff. Right now, I'm doing it the very cheap way, where I'm using my examples as a test. It's ugly, it's a patch, but then I have a plan to get better. So we can start bad if we know how to get better. The thing is, we don't want to start bad if we have no plan, if we have no idea of how we can get better. So the way that I would get better is I'm going to be probably for this crate doing the integration test first. And then perhaps, I don't even know the unit test, but for that particular crate, I will do integration test first. And I will use, since they have been so nice, there will be one external dependency here, is this guy. I will not mock it. And it's not. Now, when I'm going to have my server, when Agentic will be able to do server, we'll do both. We'll integrate to that, but then we can do our own server and test our own server. But for now, this is good. Okay, so now that I've done this, I cannot do a cargo test, but I can do this guy here. Actually, I think I have it there now. This one, cargo wedge test, and then if it works, it's pretty good. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, before I do the rest, commit discipline is super important. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a git add, so that I'm getting add the snap, and then I'm going to git c, and I have this notation, dot is simple, greater than it's greater, plus is an addition, minus is a fix. So I like to have that, it's just a me convention, and then a refactor, and then stdio module. And I don't need to be too fancy here, it's just kind of a marker. So now the cool thing is, I've done my refactor, I did not add the feature, but at least I have the things. I've done the refactoring, such as I've done the prep work. Now, the next one is, now we're going to add this streamable kind of thing. And we're going to call it, I don't like to call it streamable. I'm going to call it HTTP. Yeah. And the reason it's more, the transport is more on the protocol itself, at least for now. And eventually we'll see that a high growth. The nice things again with the JSON RPC business is, because this is completely decoupled from the protocol, that will eventually be able to be sent over MQTT. And in fact, in my AI pack application runtime, I will probably use I will probably have an internal transport, or even a Lua transport. I don't know yet, but something that I don't even need to have stdio, because I want the AI pack to be a client and a server as well, because it can run agents. And so when you have that, you don't need to call yourself, it will be internal. Yeah. So I'm going to have some proprietary kind of transport, which the MCP protocol support very well, because they decoupled the payload of the information from the transport. And that is what JSON RPC allows you to do very well. Now, what we're going to do, so we have that, and what we want is knowing what is our client HTTP transport config. So this is the guy that we're going to create. And then, so here I'm thinking out loud, we're going to create that. The client stdio transport. And inside the client stdio transport, we're going to have the config. And then the inner, we're going to use request. Okay? That sounds to be pretty good. Now, a question that I have in my head right now, and I never know if that is when there's a dip of subscribers or is because other things, but is, should I use AI to do that work? And my answer in my head, again, emotionless, passionful, yes? So it's not about, oh, I need to use emotion, I need to use AI because I need to do like the cool kid. Cool kids are cool for a while, but the question here is, will it help me? And I don't think it will help me. And in fact, when I do these kind of things, I do it slow, and it allows me to brainstorm in my head. And in this video live stream here, I'm showing how I'm thinking in my head as I code. Yeah. So it's really here, this kind of live coding is not scripted. It's just something I need to do, and I do it live. Yeah. So it's different from the other videos that are more scripted, obviously. So now I'm going to do a mod HTTP. I usually don't like to have generic names like that, but it will be good for now. I'm going to export them the same way. And now, because this one is kind of a bigger beast that macro fixes or macro enhancement, now, even if I'm working alone, I'm going to start a branch. So I have git sc, which is switch -b or -create or whatever. And then I do the nx, and I'm going to do HTTP. Okay? And if I do branch A, I probably have some other things. So XP is when I have branches that I experiment. So that these XP guys, I can delete them now, was branches when I was experimenting the APIs. And so it took me a while to find the right ergonomic, idiomatic kind of zone in a way. And so in this one, I'm going to that, and I'm going to remove this guy. XP investigate, I don't know. Okay, cool. Just branch A. Okay. Now I'm going to do a commit. Git add. I'm going to do a first commit here. And that will be, so I use plus, and I'm going to do HTTP transport protocol. And I'm not going to be that ambitious. I'm going to say first pass. Okay. Then what has happened is, on top of that, I'm going to work and I'm going to somehow have tilde commit and things. And when I'm happy, I'm going to merge them and collapse them into that. And then I will see how many commits I want for this work. So I'm trying to have the commit related to that. Now, because we're going to have at the beginning quite a bit of unuse, I do not want to have these things popping up all the time. I don't like noise, getting old, I guess. So I'm going to uncomment that and have this one like that. Okay, so now this is unused, and so it allows us to unuse. You have to do that since Rust, whatever, because I like to unsafe code forbid. So I forbid myself to do unsafe code. Yeah. I think you need to have 10, 15 years of C, C++ to be able to do unsafe code. If you don't, I would really recommend to stay away of that beast. And I had some C and C++, but it was even older than 15 years ago, way older in a way, if you believe it. But bottom line is, I don't give authorization to myself to do unsafe code. But I trust people that knows to do that, and sometimes they have to. So this is the thing, and I'm going to do a git amend in a way. Because now I can collapse it. I'm not going to have a little git for everything. NX stand for, a good question here is what NX stand for is for next. So it's just I have XP for experiment, exploration, or whatever. And then I have NX for next. Yeah, so this would be a next feature. And that will allow me, I mean, today I'm not really using agentic in any of my things, so it's not production yet. So it doesn't really matter. But in this case, I like it. But often on GenAI and everything that I use in production, then for those guys, I do that when I add a big thing. Because sometimes I don't know if it's going to be a version bump or not, and it allows me to fix the main. So that could be seen as a feature branch, but it's not necessarily one feature or this kind of thing. So I'm not too dogmatic about the feature branch, but when there's a big work, I do the NX. So now here, what we're going to do is we're going to back there, and we're going to actually, I'm going to do by hand. So sometime I can, with the iPack, I did some demos and everything. So I have a prompt coder here that I could ask to implement it. I don't know that I want that because I don't have a clean design in my head. I could trust, I know it's going to get confused there. It's going to try to mimic it. I've been using Claude and 4 and everything. I know where it's strong and weak. Sometimes could be good. I'm not sure. So on this guy, we're going to do it by hand. So modules, this is my best practices. And then I'm going to have pub HTTP config. So not pub, mod. So in this case, I like to follow the naming convention that I have here. And often when you do one with a first pass, like this one is in a way a solo thing, when you are going to do the second, you are going to change the design of that. And that is completely fine. Yeah, it's all about iteration. And like I always say, I don't believe in truth, I believe in proximity. So it's all about how we iterate it to get closer from our perspective. And sometimes there's as close to the truth from a different perspective, which is fine. The only thing we cannot do is we cannot mix match too much, because then it will resemble nothing. Yeah. So this is why architecture as a consensus, or code design a consensus, I'm not a big fan of it. Someone needs to own a module, own a crate, get input, there needs to have discussion, but at the end of the day, has to be decided in a consistent fashion. And yes, a perspective, an angle on something might have some drawbacks, but it's a net value that counts. It's not perfection, because perfection is an illusion. So that is a little bit my perspective of things. And we have been very kind of architecture or code design first in our approaches over the years. Transport. So I'm going to have these two guys over there. I don't know why I do that. And I'm going to do this guy. So we have 45 minutes. I'm not sure. Trying to get used again to kind of develop live. So I'm not sure we'll do everything, but at least we'll have a live, and we'll see if what the impact it has on the subscriber stuff. So the thing here is that we have this, and then we're going to follow the pattern early. I mean, right now we're not using it, so it's fine, but we're using that, and that Copilot will be good. The way that I have Copilot, I use it for autocomplete. It's relatively good. For chat, it's terrible. It changes more even when you select things and you ask something. Sometimes it go crazy and it changes other stuff. And so that is one of the reasons why I created the AI pack and the procoder and stuff, because I have full control. But the autocomplete, I use it over there. And so that is good. And I'm going to do a git add, git log, making sure that is stuff, git amend. I collapse it. There's no value of having a guy only for that, for the stuff. So I'm pinning it over there, Command key, Shift, Enter. It's muscle memory, so I don't know. So I'm going to do that, put that on the right, and I'm going to go with this. Okay, copying that there. I'm going to change that, HTTP. Now, obviously, those are not going to be the guys we want to see. I'm pressing save to make sure it compiles. So now, on the config, I'm going to brainstorm. And again, this is unscripted. So this thing is unscripted, so I really work the way I will work for myself. So now I'm saying, well, okay, I have the everything. I might not get, the whole thing, but I'm looking at the thing. So I think what happened here is we do the thing, and here we are starting. Oh no. Cool. Streamable. Okay, that's awesome. So that is what we had in our example on top, yeah? And this is what we have over there. So if we go to this guy, this is what we have, npx, that's why, and that by default is stdio, which is very well done. I mean, again, the spec and everything that they have done, this Anthropic, they are really good engineers. I mean, everybody's it's solid stuff. So this one is explicit. Again, it's very good to have both the default and the explicit one. This is, again, it's good engineering. Then the SSE, which is the legacy stuff. And then we're going to have that guy. Now, I'm going to assume that guy, look, they have HTTP. I'm going to assume that guy is going to start a server. I think it's a safe assumption. So on that, because we're going to say it's a safe assumption, we are going to go back on this, and we're going to say it's a URL. Okay. I think it's a safe assumption, and I think also we're going to say this is the only thing we need. Yeah. For now. Obviously, that will change, because we can have authentication or auth or all these kind of things. But I think for now, this is a good one. We have that installed. So if I go to this one, and I'm going to run that. So I already installed the server, everything. And again, if you are new here, if you are coming, you are doing MCP, you go to this spec here. Where do you go? I have it in my notes. My notes is not in the repo. This agentic is in the repo here. But you Google Doc, and then you say sample servers. And then in sample servers, you will get this guy. And those are very cool because it's good use case. And they archive before, and it's very cool that they archive that. I think they realized they couldn't really manage everything. And so they started with a few, and then they have the money over there that they just keep. But it's another repo. So the everything is a great one to do the test, and I think everybody is using that to do their test. So we can take it for granted that is a very good start to use that as a thing. And so that means that if we go to the thing over there, sorry, I'm going to say, so this is a way that I work. I have this little .notes in my github, gitignore. I ignore everything that starts with dot. So that allows me to quickly have ... everywhere, and by default they ignore. Otherwise, the gitignore is obviously the exception. Yeah? So by default is ignored. So my nodes will be ignored. And so that is where I have. I've downloaded the .mcp here, which I use DNAI to look at it and to validate that I do the right things and so on. So that is my strategy. So in my dot, I have my dirty notes, .notes, and then notes.md. This is my little silly stuff. And now I'm going to copy paste all these kind of things. Okay? I'm going to do stdio. That's a little bit, well, can probably do like that and clean it up later. And then, yeah, this is that. And then this guy is this guy. So we're going to add deprecated. We're going to make that at the bottom. Huh, interesting. Huh? Interesting. The shortcut to go doesn't do for the last line. That's fine. Do that. I put sh, so like this we have nice colors. And then that's it. So that is the ACIO. That is a guy to run. We're going to run that. We're going to see if he complains. And boom. On this one here, is not a dash. Oh, I think this will work as well. Yeah. That won't be the server, but I just want to make sure. Why? Okay, so I need to check that. npx-y. Oh, yeah, fair enough. Is the -y belong to the npx, not to the thing. So if you wanted to do that, you will do a -y, and that will work. And now I will wait for the inputs. Okay, so far so good. Okay, so we are happy. And then if I wanted to install it automatically, I do the -y. But here I already have it, so everybody is happy. Otherwise, you need to install this guy. And they give all the information over there. So now the cool thing is we're going to run our server because we do want the I'm sorry. Sorry about that. This is one thing where the live is cool because if you see that, you are going to be delayed and you think I missed it. Oh, and I'm sorry. I need to show. Like, let me see if that is better, kind of. Okay, so this is what I do, okay? The one I do is this guy. So we are running this in our server. Run it, and then boom. Okay. So now we have the streamable kind of thing. Okay. The first thing that we want to send might be simpler here. So we have 40 minutes. I mean, a little bit less, 35. So we are going to see if we can do that. Oh, that's not nice. Oh, I'm not connected. Yeah, but why you mean? Oh, does he? Oh, that's not nice. Does he time out? Okay. Might be timing out. So we'll manage it. It's fine. But so now, yeah, it's time out. Okay, it's no big deal. We'll manage it. I don't think there might be a good reason for that. Maybe you are good to add also something debugging on JavaScript. Yeah, on the JavaScript side. To be honest, I'm lazy a little bit to go and give with the stuff. But yeah, you're right. I don't know if they have a flag. It would be nice if they have a flag and we didn't have those things. But you're right. You're actually very right. The right way of doing it, Roberto here is correct here. Maybe you are good to add also something in debugging or on JavaScript. Yes. And I think I will do that first, and then I will clone the repo, the server, and then I will appropriate it myself a little bit with printed console log and everything, and probably removing the time, the timeout and everything. And so, but for now, I'm just trying to do that. But this is a very good point. So we have the transport. Now on the client side over there, what we want is this guy. So we're going to follow the pattern that we have, which is HTTP transport. So comment dot here, and yeah, I don't have that again. We're going to do that. The design right now is I create the inner on connect. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it. The nice things with Rust or any programming, if you have good design things and you decide what is the role and responsibility of layers, these kind of things will be an implementation details of that layer. So that's pretty good. So now the thing is, we're going to do the HTTP transport like that. And we're going to follow, I mean, we could put the thing, but I like the inner. So the inner allows me to put more objects there. So we're going to look at what I decided back in the days to put there. And so what I decided in my inner, I just have the handles. And that the handles is just std in, std out and stuff. So that is a way. And if I didn't keep that, Rust will have shut down if I don't keep some of them, Rust shut down the input or the output. So it's important to keep them, even if most of my things use a flume then to send events, but you want to keep them because otherwise get removed. Now, that doesn't really matter. So we are going to have something like that. And it's fair to say that HTTP, that we're going to have the request. It's a great lib, it's a top lib. There's no reason why to not use that. Press save here, and then we're going, but I don't think I have it in this one. So if I go to cargo, and I do not have it. So sometimes I do cargo add request. Sometimes I like to go and see the latest version. Put it there. Again, this is my way of organizing the stuff, but I have this slice here for my comment. So web is big enough to not be in other. And usually I will have another section that will be web, which is not RPC, because again, RPC, so that is the crate I created, RPC router, which is a JSON RPC router with async function. So we'll be using that eventually somewhere, such as it's simple to use a client. So that takes care of the RPC routing. If it's HTTP or not, doesn't really matter. That takes care of the web. So if we do more web things, we'll do that. At some point, we're going to have an axiom here, probably. And that might be behind a feature, I don't know. But the point is to say, hey, if I want to use it as a server, we need to have axiom. So I need to think about the server use case here. So I have this guy, and now we can have request. And is it request or request client? I never. No, it's a client. Well, okay, in this case, I'm going to keep it like that because we already have client everywhere. So I think they have a client, and we're going to have a client there. Okay. So that is what we're going to do. What I'm going to do is git add, git c, and I'm going to git amend. I always do a git log before to have, and the reason why I do it is muscle memory, such as I force myself, I fine-tune myself to have muscle memory, because you don't want to do an amend if it's not there. And git amend is an alias that I have that does a git commit amend without comments. And so like this, merge it on the back. So now that we have that, we are going to do the next level things, which is going to be, we want to have the request. And the funny thing is, it can work very, very quickly at some point. So what pattern do I have? The transport, and I have a new somewhere. So I have the start. Okay, so the transport is the one that starts the listening queue, which is okay. So that's the design I took. And how do I create a new transport? Why I don't have a new transport business here? Let me look at the example. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fair enough. Okay, so the design that I decided to go with for now, and again, I am in the 0.0, don't be emotional about your design. It's to say, well, don't create a transport. I don't want to expose the transport kind of things. For now, I think there's no value of getting into the transport protocol for the user of this crate. So what I did is to say, hey, you create a config, a transport config, with whatever is specific to this type of config. And then when you connect, you give the config or you give your transport, but you cannot create transport. But you give something that can get into. I have my own things because I want to have an opaque thing. So that is not into because I don't want to bleed client transport. So that was a very cool comment on Blue Sky, I think. So that was cool. Before I was doing into things, which was not good. Now I have a crate, which is into client transport, such as the caller doesn't have to know, just have to know someone that implement that. And this crate here is public, could implement it, but then it doesn't, but it's sealed. Yeah, so that is a pattern in Rust to say people cannot implement this crate, basically. Yeah. Because the sealed here, and it's a little bit a hack in the Rust pattern, honestly, because if you don't have sealed and you don't put it public, you say, hey, you export something less public and stuff is a bad idea. But here you still do that anyway because it's not exported to the crate outside. So this is why we have these kind of things. And then we do into client. And so this is what I'm implementing into the thing. So the way it will work, and I'm going to do something like this. And I'm going to do, what am I going to do? I'm going to take the simple, actually, because I don't need the tools at this point. I'm just going to take the simple. I'm going to do a 0.3. and I'm going to do an HTTP. So I have a meeting at 2. I think I might resume these things at 2:30 or 3, so you can, I don't know, subscribe or whatever. It's not even to push for subscribing, but I might do a follow-up on this one because I'm like very excited to finish that, and I'm doing that live is actually, I'm trying to have it take less of my being not as efficient if I were doing alone, but close to. So now we have this, and the goal of that one is I'm going to comment all of this, and I'm going to have the new client, demo client 01, okay. And now I want to do something like that, new client, and I'm going to say new HTTP transport. Yeah, I don't want to go too deep here. I have the client. I don't like that, transport config is enough. So I don't need to have client HTTP. So I will probably eventually rename them the HTTP transport protocol, stdio transport protocol, such as it doesn't have to repeat client all the time. Because the transport is enough. So I'm going to do that. It has a stuff. This is going to complain, but now what I want to do is that I'm going to do a HTTPS. Oh, what? Oh, no. It confused it. Why it doesn't find it? So I pin it, and then I close the thing, and then it doesn't find it because mod. Okay. And then I go back here. Oh, yeah, because I think I handpick. At some point, I handpick this one. Yeah. Because again, we don't want to export all the types. We just want to handpick this guy. So I do that like that. Now I go, oops. And then I go back here, and I'm going to do command dot, and then that's it. That's pretty cool. Now, we don't have the new. I don't need anything else. So one of the things that I like about examples, the way it works, you can do it 2 ways. Sometimes I like to do it in test. It's always better if you can do this kind of development in a unit test or in integration test, because then you can keep it and things, and it works the same. Sometimes, in this case, this crate is early. I don't have yet the test kind of framework structure or the way that I want to do or not do. So I'm doing the examples because this is good for the developers anyway, and it allows me to do the test and also testing, and this is why example, I test the ergonomic. So when I code like that, I make sure that it's the API that I want to do. There's a lot of details I don't want to do for all live videos, but here that makes the things very fluid in the way we use it. And it's almost as short as TypeScript of things, which is not the goal by itself, but the goal is simple. If the code is simpler and still idiomatic and structured, we don't want to be JavaScript kind of things, but if it's structured and it's simple, it's more clear. And code clarity impacts code quality, even if it's AI using it. So AI and human, I mean, we train this AI with us, so then they can resonate a little bit like us. Yeah. So I'm going to do the HTTP, and I'm going to go. So I don't like it because I should have done the git commit there, and then this guy should have done that. And that is hard-coded. Is it hard-coded to 3001? Yes, that's good. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to say localhost. Here, 3001. That should be good. Now, we don't have the new obviously, so the guy complains. That's fair enough. So I'm going to go back to my config business, and I'm going to do a pub, not a pub, implementation. client command, I have the thing on command slash. So I don't like the autocomplete to complete for me. I'm a programmer. I'm telling machine when to help me. It's not the other way around. So I have a option, or I don't remember the stuff. I think it's option slash. It's muscle memory. I don't remember. But I turn off the automatic autocomplete. It was too noisy, and then it's when I ask it. Now, one thing that I like to do typically is I like to have implementation to string. This is one thing I had. There's two sides of the story. People say, well, when you do the implementation into string, it's going to duplicate the data every time you use a different type, which is true. If that is an issue, this is very small, so it doesn't matter. If this is too big, you want to put the thing into an inner. I don't think the compiler does it automatically these days. And then eventually you optimize it. But the nice things about this approach is it makes, again, the APIs much more, I think, ergonomic. Yeah. Now, you don't want to abuse it too much because then, yes, the code can explode. But for many things, it's actually pretty good. So you do into, and then we'll go there. Okay, so that is good. And I'm going to git add, git log, muscle memory, git amend. Okay. And, well, I don't want to be too philosophical here, but client is on the Rust side. Yeah, Roberto, I'm not sure I'm following your latest comment here when you say client is on the Rust side. Because today, yes, client is on the Rust side, but I want this crate to also be able to do server. So the cool thing is, in a way, the client is under MCP, but we'll have MCP/server, and you will be able to do your server. Now, my question in my head is, how much do I embed Axum, or do I allow people to use? I want to allow people to use any servers I want, but it's how much do I want to embed Axum as well? Yeah. So that is another thing. But so I need to think about decoupling the two. But I think it's, yeah, I'm confusing everything here. The server will be protocol agnostic, so it won't be Axum. You just do the server, and then it should be able to have its own behavior. And then you can plug it in Axum. So then I might have a feature which is with Axum, for example. So now that I have this, I have the new client things, and this is awesome. And then the only thing we're going to have the time. So now I go to the transport. I think Axum, it should be implemented. Yeah, the Axum, yeah, I agree with you. Anyway, the tool needs to be decoupled in a way. And so so that's why I start with the client. The client is much simpler, but then it's the same type. So we can do at least the server support, and then it's up to the user to plug it into Axum or whatever. So that is the goal of the agentic crate. Yeah? It's not necessarily to have a full server, it's to be able to have the utility like GenAI, yes? To have the utility to add MCP into your own application, server, desktop, or whatever you want, or command line, or whatever. And then, so bottom line is I have that, and I'm going to copy back. And so the thing I'm doing, and the reason why I'm not asking AI in this case is, and again, I have nothing against AI. I love AI. I use AI. I want to use AI more and more. I've created AI Pack, which is a very innovative way. So I have the concept of parametric prompts over there. I put my knowledge globes, I put my base dir, and I generate 40% of AI Pack or 50% with AI Pack Pro Coder agents. And I can do model alias, I do the prompt over there, and then I know exactly per request how many times, how much, and stuff. So I'm all AI, no brainer about that. The point is not to be emotional about who write what type of code, is just being passionate about good engineering. Yeah? So no emotion, full passion, good engineering, doesn't care who writes it. So that is the thing. So when I do the agentic here, oh yeah, that was a previous thing that I was doing. Yeah, there's one bad design and stuff, and then it kind of changed the stuff for me. Yeah, so that was a real life example actually. So my point is, in this particular use case, the reason why I don't want AI to go is because if AI goes, it will continue the way that I design. Not because he wants to be nice to me and everything, to gain some points, but it's more that the AI is going to say, well, I want you to you do this way, so I'm going to continue to do it that way, to double down into the design, which is good because often is what I want. But in this case, I don't want that. In this case, I want to use the number 2 because we did stdio, so I want to use this one because when you do 2 of something is a first of many. Yeah, so the number 2 is a first of many. So the point here is what I want is to say, well, I'm going to go slowly, and sometimes you go slow, and slow is faster. Yeah, such as I can go slowly, and then I repeat in my head the design stories that I told myself when I was designing stdio. Okay? So in my head here, I'm just talking to you loud, but I say that in my head. I was like, okay, good. Okay, I had the new stuff. This makes sense. And then this is what I have. So now I'm going to say in my head, where did I implement the from here to take this guy to create the transport? And I implemented it. So usually I like this code design here. And I implemented it over there, which is client stdio transport. And that is where I take a config and I put a transport. A client stdio transport. Okay, so I'm going to do that. And I say, oh, okay, that makes sense. And then I have a static dispatch where I put it into a client transport. So that is where I have. This has been like a few weeks I haven't. So this guy is their client transport. Yes, is an enum. Yes, and then I have start, and this is a stuff. That's pretty good. And then I have the from here, which is going to be the from the transport stuff. And in fact, in my head, I say, hey, there's derived from that I love a lot. And I do not think I need that. So in fact, in my head, I'm saying, hey, let's be smarter. I think, but it's funny that I didn't do that because usually that will complain. And usually I do that. No, there's a reason why I cannot do that. Oh yeah, because I think it's these 2 guys. It's a 2-step. Yeah. It's because it's from the config to the transport. So I had to do that, such as I cannot replace this one. Okay, anyway, sorry. So now I have that. And so what I'm going to do now is, this guy is happy, so I'm going to have to add HTTP transport. So that will be, well, we'll do that later actually. And the thing I wanted to do is add this one. So I take an HTTP transport, and then I'm going to go to this guy, which is perfect. And now I'm going to follow the pattern that I have for stdio. The reason why I put inner none here is because I'm not connected yet. So the pattern that I have in my API, which I might change with no emotion, is to say, well, the inner is only when you connect. Okay, so today, the inner, which is an option, only gets something when you're actually connected. Otherwise, you just have the config and the client inner hasn't started. That's my design. So I'm going to keep it there. I could have started there, but I'm not. Yeah. So now this is pretty good. And I should have everything to go back to these guys now. Then I'm going to add something there, which is going to be my HTTP. So here's the things. The reason why I do this by hand because otherwise, again, I will have Ask AI to do that because I have all the patterns now. It's because I want to validate the patterns. I want to make sure that when I go to 1 to 2 is good. Now, if I want to implement a new protocol now, most of the time I will say, okay, I know what to explain the AI, what is specific. And I say, please go ahead, and I give him with my gloves over there, with the iPad Procoder, I give it the stuff and I say, hey, go ahead and do it. So, and I'm trying to have some best practices of how to use AI and everything for production coding rather than vibe coding. So vibe coding is a distraction. Vibe coding is just, if you want to hit a wall fast, do vibe coding. It's a most guaranteed way to hit a wall, the scalable wall, as fast as you can. It's no brainer there. People are going to hit it. People are going to hurt. We're going to get stories in 6 months or a year. And there's going to be always people that are going to say, no, but it worked for us. The point here, good engineering matters, but we have to use, again, AI to make sure that we multiply ourselves. So it's always so much more productive when you can use AI and you understand what it generates and you control what it generates. Because sometimes there's stuff that you want to fix by hand, and it will be such a waste of time to go to a prompt craziness kind of thing. So now on this one, HTTP transport, and here I'm like, and on this one, I'm going to say to do. That should work there. And then that's it. Nobody complains. I just have 10 minutes here. But I'm going to get out and I'm going to come back in 30 minutes or something like that. I really want to finish that today, and I'm going to do live no matter what. And so feel free to do the thing. And again, I have a lot of, all the lives is for the members. I'm trying to find a way to give some live for other people. But anyway, this is the stuff. So thank you, Jacques. Jacques Joubert. Someone from home. So I'm based in San Francisco now for 25 years. So I still have my airport accent, which my nephew here, Corentin, is making fun of me all the time. But I've been here a very long time. But France is still home. So the thing I'm saying is we have that. And then this is cool. So I have my transport, I have everything. So now I'm pretty happy with all of my design. My design that I thought before was pretty good. Now the transport start, we can implement it. We have 10 minutes. We're going to implement the transport start. I think this is one thing we're going to do. And it's going to be super simple. So I'm going to mimic what I have. And again, I'm going slow in purpose because I want to validate the pattern here. And I'm using this opportunity to check that. So the start here. Yeah, okay, this one was close because I didn't understand. So that is a start. And that is where, oh, no, yeah, the start is used by the connect in my thing. So I'm going to implement transport. So here I could do a trait. Don't go trait crazy. It's fine. I have the static dispatch anyway, so I just can call it. At this point, we don't need to have a trait like client transport trait or whatever. So we can do that. And then when it becomes obvious you need it, add it. The thing I'm not sure is who is adding to the inner. So this is what I'm going to do. Okay, fair enough. And so it's that function that does it, and it does it at the end of the start, I think. Yes, at the end of the start. So we are going to do the same thing for our friend, which is our transport. And we are going to implement, so HTTP transport. Sorry, I'm being a little bit OCD here. I had the implementation before the thing. One thing I love about Rust is we can have multiple implementation blocks. So I like to organize them like that, which is exactly before my from regions. And I'm going to say, and I have zero memory, life cycle kind of starts, okay? And then I'm going to do an implementation. Yeah, I'm thinking, sorry. HTTP transport. And then I'm going to do, I think it was async. Is that correct? Yes. Pub crate async, so I'm not going to be super smart. I had, okay, I'm going to actually take that. And it gives me a transport TRX. So usually the thing that I like is, and I don't do that all the time, but the thing I like is to wrap a little bit the channel types, the send or the receive. And that gives me a little bit more flexibility and I can normalize the APIs. I'm not saying that that is a must, but it's nice because sometimes, you know, when I have something important like that, then after my transport is not there, my transport thing here. So use create MCP, yes, MCP result. Usually it's at the root, but I have the result here under MCP because there's two big branches that are completely independent, which is going to be MCP and A2A. And there might be some common parts, but I want to make sure that we don't want to have a common error result. So they are really separate. And then on this one, I'm going to have the transport TRX. Okay, that's fine. And I think in my code over there, I keep the transport TRX somewhere, no? Oh, no. The transport TRX actually, it's consumed. So if I look at this, I give it there and I don't store it because it's part of my, if you look here, I'm starting a Tokyo. So when you start, you start kind of a loop, an async loop. And then it will loop against, you know, the lines, which is in this case stdio IO lines. And so here what we're going to do is we're going to loop, and it's going to be a tricky one here to implement, but either over the HTTP post or over the SSC, I guess. And then after I have somewhere, so I have a error TX here, and then I have, oh, TRX, okay, sorry. I have my cool T-Rex kind of type. So the T-Rex has everything in this concept. So we're not going to start T-Rex here. In this concept, you have, sorry. In the stdio, I had the std in rx, which is what the server sent. And then I have two tx, yeah, which is, so that is what it receives, what the input send. And then I have the two tx, which is the out and the error, because that is a way that stdio kind of thinks. Now, the things that I don't like, and when I was making that, I didn't commit it, is that here I have communication TRX, and it looks cool, comms TRX, but I don't like it because, well, I don't know if I don't like it. My question and stuff is, can I reuse that? No, I can reuse that in HTTP, actually. I can reuse that in any protocol. Yeah, so this in is what you receive from the server, out is what you send, and error is the error that you send. And then the listener to these guys will decide what to do. But I think this is a good thing. And in fact, it was my reasoning. I remember what I was thinking before. I was saying, well, this is why I put it there. Otherwise, it would have been stdio_coms or whatever. But this is why it's there in a way. And so I have this transport TRX. So this is what we're going to have. And again, unfortunately, I have to go soon here. I have to go because I have a meeting. But this is what we're going to have. And I'm going to do another. So I'm going to go to the meeting and then I'm going to restart the live. I'm sorry for the break here. And I'm going to keep this one unlisted or public for a while. So if you are, let me show you that. So I'm going to make another one. It will be probably this one. It will be a part 2 or something like that. I don't know how many parts I'm going to have. I'm trying, I don't know. I think I will do the whole implementation like that. This one will be public while streaming now, obviously. And then for 48 hours. The 48 hours might be unlisted because when I list them in public, then people click on live, they see all of the other ones that are members only and some of them unsubscribe. And mentally, I'm not ready to put more videos and lose more subscribers. It's kind of damaged my brain somehow. But so this is, make sure you keep the URL. If you're on my Discord, you have them on announcement. I put them there now. And then also we have, no, this one was the old. And then if you have early access members, you have them for 2 days after that. And then for live stream, you have them indefinitely. And obviously, if you miss something and you don't want to pay and stuff, you give me a link and I can unlist it. I mean, you ping me on Discord or whatever, and I can do anything. Okay, so hopefully this was helpful. We're going to do another kind of deep down on that. I will come back because now I am on these things. What I will do here in my head, I will make sure, usually I will do a cargo test to see if I didn't break anything, and git status to see what I've done, save, press save all, make sure that everything compiles. So usually I don't commit things that doesn't compile. There's very rare exceptions in a branch and not on main. But and then here I'm going to be happy about this. And so I'm going to this. I didn't really need to do that. And I'm going to do I'm git log, muscle memory, fine-tuning myself, git amend. Boom, done. So I had this. We're going to start from that. The agentic crate is open source. You can find it. Not this code. I didn't put this one live. But eventually, whatever we're going to do that is going to be pushed over there. And then we're going to continue on that to make sure that we have the thing. And the goal of this crate MCP is to provide agentic, is to provide MCP server, MCP client, and eventually A2A. But right now we have plenty of work over there. Hopefully you liked it. Until see you in a couple of 30 minutes or 1 hour or something like that. Okay, thank you. Happy coding.